Greetings, you wonderful mutants. This is Joel Clark, proprietor of the Mushroom Press, and now physical publisher of Lone Wolf Fist. We're doing it ASMR style because it's early in the morning and I don't want to wake anyone up. As you can see, the hardback came in. Very excited about it. Let's get that. It's a little beautiful little, yeah, look at that. This is the redone cover that I did with my full name and initial on it. And then you can see the spine here. This beautiful yellow with purple. It's really good contrast. Gray back there. Look at that. It's got our logo on it from the Five Emperors. I'm very pleased with it. I've been going over it with a fine-tooth comb. There's a couple of issues that an unfortunate amount of effort had to go into to correct. There's a couple I don't know how to correct, but are acceptable. For example, some of the art isn't quite at the right scale, so there's a bit of smudging. It's perfectly clear, and it still looks really nice. It's just on a really close inspection, it's not really what I would have liked it to look like. Unfortunately, this late in the process, there's not a ton I can do. I really don't have the layout experience to fix this, and I think we've gotten to the point where everyone's waited long enough. I have done another proof that I've ordered up, expedited. This one should be here this week, and as soon as it gets here, boom, books start rolling out. Now, I'm also going to put this thing on sale as soon as it becomes available. I'm going to do an advertising blitz, so you're going to see ads all over the place for it. That's how business works. I want to sell this thing and make money, because if it makes a reasonable amount of money, then I can dedicate a larger amount of time to working on the next stuff, which I'd like to do because right now I'm working full time. It'd be nice to work part time and then do a full part time thing on this. As it stands, because I've only released the one game and it's a core book. And I don't have a lot of catch it yet. This has really got to be like a side project that I do in my off time and sometimes in my days off, which is fine. But I know from experience that I really do need a solid 90 days to write a really kick-ass system and to populate it with really cool stuff. So yeah, it would be nice to be able to either work seasonally or work part-time or something like that. With the sales from this taking the other chunk off, so I could focus on making more games. So it's kind of expanded my schedule a little bit, which that's fine. That's good coffee. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, this is going to start going out. It turns out I actually am going to be doing the shipping. Paying the shipping cost myself at the Kickstarter funds. That's the way I set it up back in the day, apparently. So there should be no further action on anybody's part. You should be getting your hardbacks here toot sweet. There's right about 45 that need to go out. And because it's POD, I'm paying a premium for each one I send out. So it's a little more expensive than I thought it was going to be. As a result, I'm going to do batches. Do it about 15 at a batch, somewhere there. And then between batches, what I'm going to wind up doing is just going on the sales junket and the promotion junket to see if I can't get a larger following for people grabbing up the hardback. I think the hardback has got a lot of fans that didn't pick it up during the Kickstarter, so I think we're going to make a pretty decent amount of sales there. But that's just to kind of minimize the financial impact of the unexpected cost and help absorb it as I get money from sales. Everyone's going to get their stuff. It's available forever now. And yeah, here over the next 2 months or so, we're just going to be shipping those out as consistently as we can. Granted our financial constraints, again, with new and unexpected costs. And it might be that I'm the only one who's paying really bad shipping because I'm in Alaska. So the shipping to me might have skewed my understanding of how much it is. It almost doubled the print cost to get the books to me. So maybe that's not the case for the majority of y'all. Maybe you got printers closer and you have to deal with that ridiculous shipping rates. I suppose we shall see. If it doesn't double the cost, people get their hardbacks a little sooner. But in any event, they're on their way now. Also, just want to make sure I'm making this clear to any backers. If you do need to change your address, you can do so on Kickstarter right now. I made sure all the addresses were editable up to the last minute. Please go ahead. I'm just going to do this in whatever order they appear in my little spreadsheet. I don't know if it's alphabetical or in sequence of when you bid or what. I'm just gonna do it in the order they appear. That seems reasonable and fair to me. That way I'm not like prioritizing by tier or anything like that. It's just like, okay, this is the next person. And I would like to, although this is a little more logistics on my part, so I might not be able to, but I would like to, since Kickstarter, or since DTRPG sent me tracking information, I would like to, every time I send one out, when I get the tracking info, to send it to the email that you send to me, so that you'll be able to track it as it comes to you. That would be like ideal for me. And after that, what's up next for the 5 Emperors and Lone Wolf Fist? Well, there's a supplement called Cities on Fire that David wanted to work on, which is a bunch of additional content, new clans, different kinds of creatures to be as PCs. There's kind of an encoded way of being different kinds of people in the core book here. Like, you could be a llama person or a baboon person. So there's a couple of different ways you could technically start as a different kind of character. But they're not in the character creation chapter. They're kind of sprinkled in like the monster chapter and places like that. So I would like to make those a little more apparent as character options. I'd also like to do robots, because in a lot of ways Lone Wolf Fist is like a tribute to and a dunking on, of Exalted. And we don't have Infernals yet, and we don't have Alchemicals yet, and those are the two coolest ones, in my opinion. We pretty much have the Dragon Blooded with the different elemental kung fu that you can master, and we sort of have Solars and Abyssals, because we have the Golden Lions and the Shadow Vipers. So I figure we've got those bases pretty well covered. We don't have Lunars. We kind of have Sidereals. I would say that what are they called? I can't remember now. I actually forgot the name of one of the 7 fashions I wrote down. Let me see, I remember them. The Silver Princes? No, it's not it. Silver Phoenix, that's them. Jesus, man. I could crack this hardback and look it up right now, but I refuse to. I'm not going to let my mind off that easy. All right, so if you give them the art of prediction, they're pretty much Sidereals. Okay, so we got Sidereals. We have something like the Lunars with the Emerald Kyren. I think the Emerald Kyren are a little more cohesive as a faction, just personally. That's my feel. And they can technically shift shape into a giant monster if they get their most powerful technique. They could be a little shapeshiftier, I guess. So I suppose we could do a little more to do Lunars. But yeah, there's not really any Infernals so far. There's not really any Alchemicals so far. And both Infernals and Alchemicals, as I recall, were late game additions in first edition and in second edition. They weren't even really super clear how they worked in first edition. Like, the things that were called the Infernal Exalted were actually Akuma in first edition, I think. It's been a long time. And then in second edition, you had the Akuma, and then you had the proper Infernal Exalted, who like were their own thing entirely. I liked their own thing entirely. I wasn't a huge fan of all the fluff in the book. It got a little, like, Gwar-y, I guess, if that makes sense. But the powers themselves and how they slowly turned you into this, like, elemental force of nature thing, that was really rad. I liked that. I'm not sure how I would, I'm not really sure what I would do with that. I think you could probably take one of the Titans and be like, okay, this is, like, as close as you can get to one of the Primordials, and I would just break up its powers and how it worked among the powers that you get in your Kung Fu. Actually, that's a great idea. I might have to do that. Anyway, so yeah, Cities on Fire, aka Burning Cities, aka next project. That's the next thing that I'm wanting to work on. In addition to that, quality of life stuff. I do want to upgrade the character sheets as editable online. I don't know how to do that, so bear with me while I work on that. I need to upload all the character sheets, including like the NPC sheets and all of that, so they're a little more printable, a little more printer friendly. I also want to do just a second. I also want to do GM screen. As you can see, I have this super technical mock-up here. He's got the bend in the middle. You notice that I have amazing art skills. But yeah, I've been... Well, I just dropped that right on the floor. But I've been thinking about that lately. So yeah, hardbacks in the mail. They're coming. Everything's cool. I don't know if this is the ultimate, aka final update for the Kickstarter. It sort of feels like it is, doesn't it? Like, once these hardbacks are out and in your hands, I think that's everything fulfilled, because we've got the PDF, which is done. The actual game is written, like the text is done, the PDF's available, and everyone who wants a PDF got one. Or everyone who Kickstarted for one got one. We've got the special clans and the special kung fu. That's all been written, so that's delivered. Okay, and then yeah, hardbacks is the last one. Okay, so that's it. This is, I suppose, the ultimate update. That's really rad. I might do one or two more leading into Burning Cities, just so you guys get a chance to get on the ground floor of that one. Personally, I would like a lot to have that written and ready to go, and have like my editor lined up and make sure his schedule is clear. I'm just going to use Albert again because he's awesome. I would like to have the cover art commissioned, so we have something for it. And the cover art's not terribly expensive. It is one of the more expensive things, but like, as you can tell from looking at the cover of this, like, it's super worth it. And I would like to actually have a layout person next time. I managed to muddle through this with Affinity, and it looks really good. Like, once I've corrected the few issues that I consider to be like real deal breakers. We're next to an airport. Sorry. Like, there's a couple of really stupid ones. Let me show off the shame real quick. There we go. Let's put that down. Okay, so due to my layout inexperience, the top of only this page cuts off. Notice the other page is fine. Most of the books like that. This one, for some reason, and it doesn't happen again. You can tell. Like, yeah, see, look, ta-da, it's fine. But for some reason, that one cut off. I don't know why. Another one, you can see this right here. What's the page number on that one? Can you see it yet? Can you see it yet? Yeah, I can't. Way too tiny. Page numbers came out super tiny for some reason. Oh, look. Thank goodness these are all underlined with their hyperlinks. Oops. Little things. You know, we got those fixed up. There was also one of the backers, thank God, brought this to my attention. There was a missing segment of text from one of the backer things. One of the backer clans, and the clans are some of the biggest ones. I think I charged these poor folks $250, which I feel like I earned. I think every one of them was like over the moon with what I managed to provide for them. But yeah, there was like a whole artifact that was missing that just at some point during the shuffle did not make the cut in there. So I put it back in. There was even a spot for it. I didn't have to change page numbers. I didn't have to reformat anything. There was just this blank spot where instead of there being text, there wasn't text. So thank God that got caught. I actually haven't even updated it on the PDF yet, but I did update the printed file, and I've got a new proof coming with all those updates. As soon as that passes muster, which everything else seemed fine in here. I gave this a nice thorough looking through. And aside from, again, some things that they're not problems, they're just stuff I want to correct in the future or I want to alter in the future. Like, and it's not, none of them are deal breakers, but some of them are frustrating. Let me show you one of them. I actually got that propped up. That's nice. Oh, no, I didn't. My kids got to my mic, unfortunately, and so it's seen better days. So, okay, and you can see that here, where like half the page is just kind of empty. Like in future layouts, I want to fix that so that I've just more evenly distributed the text, because it doesn't really hurt its readability. This go through and the very last pass, I wanted 0 orphans and as few broken columns as possible. And that resulted in a pretty good amount of right hand emptiness on pages. It's not really ever glaring. The only part that really kind of feels empty is in the character chapter, where like some of the factions just don't have enough text because of my terse writing style to fill up all four of the columns. So they'll have this right hand column that's just almost entirely empty, the far right hand, and that does feel a little bit empty. It's not horrible, but I mean, honestly, obviously on a re-layout, I would have fixed that so it doesn't have quite as much emptiness. Again, doesn't hurt comprehensibility. It should still be perfectly referenceable. The end result of this is probably a couple of extra pages. I would say maybe even up to 10 extra pages just because of the emptiness. But I prefer that to it feeling cramped. And any sections that none of the sections, thank God, feel cramped. Some of them feel certainly very dense. Well, like I've got some that are 4 full columns of just text and headers, and those feel pretty dense. Thankfully, the headers do a good job of breaking it up, and I do a really good job of a header being at the very, very, very top of the page or in the middle with a complete paragraph. So there's very few headers that are in the middle of a column that have like text that spill over into the middle of another column. That just felt sloppy to me, and a lot of times I would find ways to move and put art in there, and my compromise ultimately was the emptiness on the right hand side. Again, I'm gonna be a lot now that I know what I'm doing with that. Even if I don't get a layout guy, I feel a lot more confident in future projects. Now that I've seen the whole process, I didn't know how to do any of this when I started, and I've kind of had to learn on the job. But yeah, I feel like an additional layout, like because it might be a pretty deep layout, going in trying to fix all of that, or like commissioning more art for it and having to wait for that, and putting the art in and reformatting, and then doing another proof. Like, nah, you guys have waited long enough. Like at this point, the book needs to be out. It's as done as it needs to be. There's nothing that hurts its comprehensibility or readability at all. There's maybe a few more page turns in the physical version than there need to be. Oh well. But yeah, like stuff like that I didn't worry about too much, just because like, yeah, a more experienced layout person would have found a way around that issue, but it's just not gonna kill it, you know? No, like the page numbers not being legible, that hurts. Like that's got to get fixed. The table of contents, everything those underlines is an eyesore. That's got to get fixed. The top of the page is cutting off. That's amateur hour. That's got to get fixed. A missing block of text with an entire artifact that was paid for by a backer. Clearly, that's got to get put back in. You know, like so. Hence the second proof. Anyway, oh God, I've been almost talking for 20 minutes. I'm sorry. I hope you guys have been enjoying the ASMR. But yeah, GM screen updated character sheets for online usability. That's coming down the pike pretty soon. I need to figure out how to do a GM screen formatting and also what's going to be on the GM screen. So feel free to vote on that, folks. Just find your way into the Fistiverse and we'll figure it out. Aside from that, Burning Cities is the next thing in the world of Ashes and Ghosts. And then, of course, afterwards, once we have got that supplement at least under our belt, I wouldn't mind doing a couple of adventures for it too, just like gazetteers with like weird areas and like that. But once we have got those books, and that might be one book, that might be like another hardback supplement. I don't know yet. That all might go in Burning Cities, folks. But once that's under our belt and we have enough that like GMs who want to play Lone Wolf Fist have a pretty robust amount of stuff that they can show their players and play with, next project is all above heaven. So I'm a little scared because that's going to be another big one, and I'm also scared because it's going to push me out of my comfort zone again. I could probably make another book of this quality in a quarter of the time now. That's really exciting. But with All Above Heaven, I really want it to be of a vastly superior quality. I want to have full color pages, like heavy gloss pages. I'd like it to be slimmer and therefore more efficiently laid out, and with an even more like usable text inside when it comes to reference. All that stuff is real hard to do, and I'm excited about it. and I want it to be big, and I want the power level to be high, and I want it to be something you can take into like cosmic levels of like absolute chicane, like blowing up whole planets. I want it to be really big and really fun to play. Therefore, I'm terrified of doing that. Even this game pushed the boundaries of what I've even seen done in role-playing games in a way that like seen done skillfully in role-playing games. It's easy to be like, oh, your guy can blow up a whole planet, but it's really hard to design a game with that being a reality from first principles, and this game does that. And the success of the systems that allow you to do that and allow NPCs to do that and make that something that can be true in your setting without your setting obliterating itself, whether or not that succeeds is going to be up to the high level playtest of this game. And it may come out that the high level playtest of this game reveals that if you do certain things, the setting actually does fall apart, and I want to know about them so I can compensate for them in All Above Heaven. So there's going to be some really intense high level playtests of this prior to doing the initial writing for All Above Heaven. And David's got a lot of cool ideas for that setting. If you've gotten the All Above Heaven Act 1 download, that should give you a really good intro to the setting. It's a really solid opening montage for that thing. But like, obviously we've updated the game since then, so it needs to get reworked a little bit. And in addition to that, just the raw scale of All Above Heaven is just going to be so gigantic. So that's the next thing. That's the next big thing. But yeah, short term, look forward to Burning Cities. Long term, get ready to rocket into All Above Heaven. In any event, this has been the ultimate update for Tianshang Lone Wolf Fists. This is Joel Clark, your humble author, signing off, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.